educating episode of the program Agric Economy on ARSN Television, Abuja, Nigeria. I am your host, Khadija Oluwatoyin. On today's episode of the program, we would be taking the assessment of the previous administration as it comes to agriculture. When I say that, I mean we'll be checking what the government was able to do in the past administration, the person of President Muhammadu Buhari, in the past 8 years of being president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as it has to do with food sustainability, or let's say agriculture sustainability. And to discuss that with us on the program this week is no other person than our economist who usually come to give us insights on different topics in the person of Mr. Gilbert Dakulo. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so this week we will not be focusing on the figures and the rest of it. We'll be taking a general outlook on what the past administration was able to do when it comes to agriculture. Of course, it's going to entail sustainable policies. What have you? So, what do you think, as somebody that is in the field, as an economist, an agric economist? What do you think? Because sometimes I would say government didn't do this, government didn't, but if you look at it, it has there's a generating effect of the achievement on the populace. So in agriculture, we saw that even before the minister left, he signed so many what will I put it? It puts so many things in place, let me use that word, in ensuring that it's a stepping stone for whosoever takes over from him. In general terms, what do you feel about the past administration?
Yes, the past administration's performance on agriculture is a mixed grade. First and foremost, the government realized that if actually we want to attain food security in the country, and we want to reduce unemployment, agriculture is one of the most important aspects of our economy that needs to be looked into. And in conjunction with the ministry and other agencies saddled with ensuring that happens, the government put so many measures in place. The government tried as much as possible to empower the research institutes and also to ensure that researches were done on improved seedlings, soya and some other seedlings that brought about changes in the way cultivation is being done in the country. The government also looked at the aspect of empowerment for farmers and also the aspect of industrial farming, which the government tried as much as possible to encourage companies to come into farming in Nigeria, and also agricultural value chain and agricultural inputs. And that's why we saw companies like Dangote Industries coming up with fertilizer manufacturing. We saw other companies too that are manufacturing fertilizers for sale to farmers in Nigeria and also export. And we saw that both the federal government and the state government also ensured that fertilizers are supplied to farmers and at subsidized rate as well. And most of the governments, the state governments especially, tried as much as possible to put agriculture as a front burner in their policies for the economy. Be that as it's may, the Central Bank of Nigeria also put in measures in conjunction with the Bank of Agriculture and also Bank of Industry, tried as much as possible to intervene in the agricultural sector of Nigeria. Through the anchor borrower programs and various interventions that the government implemented. And that culminated into seeing the rice pyramid in Abuja and some other intervention in other states, in livestock also. And during this administration as well, we discovered the issue of livestock farming, in the sense that people were of the opinion that there should be ranches and there should be livestock management. In fact, there should be a department or a ministry that will be in charge of livestock so that it can reduce the incessant conflict between artisans and farmers that we had in the past 8 years. that also affected agricultural production and insecurity added to it. So when you look at the whole position of government as regards agriculture in the past 8 years, there was a genuine intention for agricultural practice to improve in Nigeria, both the livestock and the farming aspect, but there were constraints based on human forces and policy implementation. But all in all, the government tried its best, but other factors limited the output.
Okay, looking at you talk about limitations to this, and of course there was one or two policies that were put in place. What do you think that the government can do? Because this is like an advisory before we have the next ministerial appointments. What do you think can be done in taking these steps forward?
Yes, I believe that just like you said, that before this outgoing government and the minister and those in charge of agriculture put some measures in place, put some agricultural interventions as well in place. So I believe that the new minister, for example, or the new people that will be in the helm of affairs as regards decisions on agriculture should study what has been done in the past 8 years, look at the loopholes, look at the shortcomings, and look at policy measures that will be able to overcome such shortcomings and problems and improve on it, what we already have on ground. If you look at the past administration, I want to use the Anchor Borrower program as an example. We discovered that as laudable as this project was, there were some shortcomings, there were some issues that stampeded the growth that is expected from that Anchor Borrower program because of insincerity on the part of those that took the loans, because of natural disasters that were not properly mitigated, because of political measures or political patronage by people that took the loan, because we discovered over time that some of the beneficiaries of the Anchor Borrower program were not actually farmers, and they took the loan with the intention not to pay back. And the Anchor Borrower program, for example, was structured in a way that the first beneficiaries, when they pay back, will encourage other beneficiaries as well, so that the scope can be expanded and others can benefit as well. So some of these things affected that government, laudable government policy as regards the Anchor Borrower program to enhance capacity of farmers. We also discovered that based on the fact that the banks that were saddled with the responsibility of disbursing these funds, they were only looking at what they can get from it in the area of fees and the funds coming into their covers. They did not really do proper risk assessment and collateralize these facilities that were given to the farmers. So that made it easier for some farmers not to want to pay back with excuses of natural disasters, flooding, and other things that have come into play. So I believe that this new administration, the ministers and those that are going to be in the realm of affairs, will look at the shortcomings of the past administration, the various interventions, and be able to improve on it, block the loopholes, ensure that there is more reach, there is more cover, and practical attention is given to practicing farmers in Nigeria.
Okay, you said it all, looking at the loopholes in ensuring that this does not repeat itself. And I think the past, immediate past Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Mahmoud, before he left office, with the 65 billion naira that was given to farmers as loan this time and not grant, that was earmarked for them, was strictly during that same briefing. It was just a few days before the minister left office. This was the meeting coincided with the World Dairy Day, World Milk Day. So the Bank of Agriculture hammered on the fact that individual farmers with collateral that can meet up with the conditions that you kept are the farmers that will be given this particular loan. We have farmers, this is bringing me to my question now. We have farmers association. If this loan is not extended to farmer association, do you think it's going to be some kind of problem in itself?
Actually,
Because the Bank of Agriculture actually, how will I say now, pitched the fact that associations were mostly the ones that defaulted the anchor bearer programs. Hence, they are not going to be working with them on this particular fund.
yeah, that is the area I wanted us to look at critically. As good as farmers associations are, they are prone to shortcomings. They are prone to infiltrations. They are prone to people using them as a platform to be able to get whatever they want without the intention of paying back. And just like the minister said, and the people in the Bank of Agriculture said, the truth is that most of those farmers association used their association as a cannon fodder for corruption in the last administration, in the sense that funds that were given to the association were either not properly distributed among the practicing farmers or were hijacked by people that have influence in the country, using them as a front. So when the government now decides that it is time to deal with individual farmers, I see merit in it. Because when you are coming as a farmer to take a loan, the direct liability and the direct responsibility of repayment lies on you, not on your organization, not on your farmers association. Because when you are still liaising through the farmers association, people hide behind that association to neglect or to refuse to make repayment. So when you are dealing directly with the practicing farmers, and the farmers has brought collateral to secure the loan, for every business, when you know that you have a valuable involved, you will want to make way to pay back. So I believe that that strategy and that idea will pay the government on the long run and will compel practicing farmers to ensure repayment of loans that has been taken by them.
Okay, now we'll talk individual farmers. We know that if you ask some of us who has chicks and chicken that we rear, you ask me, I'll tell you I'm also a farmer. What should be the criteria for you? What do you think? What do you think criteria in the sense that for you to know that this person is actually a farmer?
Now, if you actually are a farmer, you should be able to show your stock in trade. The stock in trade for a farmer, if it's poultry farming, for example, should be a place where the poultry will be reared. You should be able to show that you have the capacity and you have the experience based on your number of years that you have been in the business. If it is for land cultivation, the farmer should be able to provide the arable land that is going to be used for whatever crop that is going to be planted. That is the basis. The second aspect of it is that for a practicing farmer, you should be able to show experience. You should be able to show cognizance experience based on interview that they are supposed to have with analysts from both the Bank of Agriculture and the banks. So the third aspect of it is that when we are looking at criteria, we should also look at the capacity for whatever loan request that is being made. How can somebody that has the capacity or the space to rear 1,000 birds, for example, be asking for a facility to rear 1 million? That is where failure starts. Yes. So, looking at the capacity of the request from the farmers, it's what determines what actually should be given to them. Any loan that is given, even apart from being in agricultural sector, in any sector, that you give above capacity of an individual or an organization is a recipe for disaster and recipe for failure for repayment. So apart from the stock intake, which is the land or the space for either the poultry or farm cultivation, crop cultivation, we should look at the capacity, experience and knowledge, and we should also look at the loan request itself. If, for example, like I said earlier, somebody that has the capacity, even for expansion, from maybe 500 beds to 1,000 beds, now asking for a loan for 1 million beds, it should be questioned. Because any loan that is given to a farmer, let's remember that it's a practicing farmer. this kind of facility should not be given to somebody that intend to start farming. Because when you intend to start farming, that means that you are going to start the failures and the successes on a loan. That means you are starting on a probability. So you should be practicing farmers that are established, that have known the nooks and the pros and cons of their stock in trade. So they will be able to know the capacity, they will be able to know the terrain better, and when giving such facilities, they will have known and will have factored in the things that will affect their repayment and what are ways to mitigate against them. So we should not give this facility above the capacity of those farmers that will request for it. And they should not be political farmers. They should be people that, just like I said, have the stock in trade feasibly inspected and have the capacity.
Oh, nice one. So we've heard it. The farmers intended for this, for any of this loan that will be given by the federal government should be practicing farmer and not someone that is just, coming in to start farming. Because of course we know that this is farming. Natural disasters can happen that nobody would be able to ascertain the extent at which the effects would be on. On that note, to take a quick break. When we return, Agric Economy continues. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still on to the program Agric Economy on ARCN Television, Abuja, Nigeria, and we've been discussing on the assessment of the previous administration as regards sustainable agriculture, and discussing that with me in the studio as being our own in-house economist, in the person of Mr. Gabriel Dakolo. And yes, Mr. Gabriel, like we were saying, this different initiative by the previous administration should be worked upon. If you look at it, before the last administration left office, we had the rice mill, which was commissioned at Abajo Kwali Area Council. We also had the food seed policy that was also launched before the minister left office. With all of these, if you ask some farmers, they'll tell you a lot has been put on the floor, but it's remaining it for it to start running. What do you want then? What do you think can be done as regards sustainability of all of these things that the previous administration had done, believing in agriculture?
One of the good things that this past administration did also was the focus on the rice production. You will know in the past years, that Nigeria is one of the major importers of rice from Thailand and some other countries in Asia. We also discovered that at a point, the federal government had to close land borders, basically because of smuggling activities centered mainly on rice that were being brought into the country through the land borders without paying duties, without being in conformity with what the government wants for consumption. We discovered that some of these rice products that are smuggled into the country sometimes are contaminated, sometimes have been stored for a very long time, and chemical reactions are already on them. And because the people that smuggle these rice products do not want to make losses, which is sell it to unsuspecting Nigerians, and that is why the government decided to close the borders at that time. We also discovered that in the past 8 years, there have been partnerships between the state governments as regards rice production. I know of recent that the Kebbi state government had a partnership with the Lagos state government, whereby the Kebbi state has a lot of arable land that is fit for rice production, and when these rice are produced, are sent to the mill in Lagos. So we have a few mills that are state-run, that even in Lagos, for example, this rice production brings out what we call eco rice, which is being sold and sent at high quality rice to the people. And because the production is immediate, it has been able to stop the effect of this rice that has stored for years in Thailand and other countries that are now being imported into the country, that can be held to the populace. One thing that the government needs to continue to do is to encourage more private investors in the area of rice mills. I have said this on your previous programs that Nigeria has a lot of crops that we are producing, but the major problem we have is value addition. For example, if we have paddy rice that has been produced, for example, and we can add value to it, Nigeria will not be an importer of rice, but will be an exporter on the long run, because we have the available land and we have the capabilities to be able to produce very fine grains to be able to export to the other world. So Nigeria needs to have more rice mills that will be centered in areas of production, so that we can first generate employment for our people, and we can also generate foreign exchange income when these products are exported, and also we can be able to kill hunger in the land when we have self-sufficiency. Now, when we talk about improved seedlings that the federal government also commissioned, you discover that I said earlier that in the assumption of this past administration, they looked critically at the research centers, and the aim of empowering the research centers is to research into various crops and how to make the yield better, how to have various grades that will make improve production and improve health of the people on the long run. And that is the aim and the principle of launching these new seedlings into the system. Because when you look at in other countries, in other clients where agriculture is practiced, you discover that they are constantly improving the seedlings that comes out because of various mutations that are coming in, year out. So when there is research to the extent that some of these improved seedlings, when they are planted and grown, they even combat diseases in the body. So that is why this research and improved seedlings are very important for our agriculture in Nigeria. Looking at the population of the country, we need to ensure that healthy foods are being grown in the country to be able to serve our people.
Okay, looking at other aspects, we know that if you talk of the rice, like you said, so many, I really do not even understand why it is that Nigeria still has to import rice, because if you look at it, we have rice in so many states in Nigeria. We have in Ogun State, we have in Lagos, I know of Benue, there's Kebbi and the rest of them. I know of Plateau because a colleague of ours, her father farms rice. Yes. And then when she brought the rice, they were so very nice, dried, long grain and the rest of it. What's the lasting solution? Everybody's calling for the reopening of the border and the rest of it. What's the lasting solution?
The lasting solution to me is empowerment and creating favorable policies for rice cultivation, rice production, and rice packaging. Now, the government, through the state government, have turned their focus in rice production, cultivation. Now, some of the states that jump into the bandwagon of rice cultivation are doing it to gain political points. Second, they are doing it with the aim of probably feeding their local population. But we should look beyond that. The federal government should engineer a rice revolution in Nigeria, looking at the population of Nigeria and looking at the love that we have for the long grain, that Nigerians like to eat rice a lot. So if we know that this is a consumption, is a primary consumption of Nigerians, then we should put more attention into it. And that is why policies must be promulgated in that regards. We should promulgate policies that will encourage people to have rice mills almost in all states of the country. We should also encourage states that have arable land for rice cultivation to empower their people. Now, what we are saying is that the government alone cannot do it. But when we create incentives for farmers to put farm rice and ensure that their lands are secured without intervention of farmer other crisis, we ensure that we mitigate against natural disasters like flood and other things, so that when these farmers are coming to plant, they should know that there is enough insurance to cover them in event of losses due to flooding or harsh weather conditions or security issues. When these things are put in place, a framework should be made so that government will be interfacing not only with those cultivating rice, both the states and individuals, but with all the value chain as regards rice. When we say we want to have a rice revolution, it is not only by making it in part. It should be a federal initiative that will be, the impact will be assessed and the success will be determined on the long run. So we will have a federal driving committee that will see to it that the effort of the states and the effort of the individual is being channeled properly. So that's the way I see it.
Okay, looking at the rice, we use this rice now to wrap it up. We'll continue with the same topic because, of course, assessing this past administration, we cannot finish it in one episode. So, looking at the rice, if you look at it, Nigerian rice in the market, price in the market, is, I don't know, is chasing the foreign rice that we have in the market.
Yes.
If you look at the foreign rice now, they'll tell you maybe 40,000 for a kilo, and then Nigerian rice that we used to buy for 12,000, as low as 7 before now, enter 12 from 12, 15, 18, and now we're buying for 36, 35,000. What should be done? Because we know that it's not just rice. We do not have price control as regards food policy. What's your word for government for this?
I think the government should look critically at cost of production. Some of these rice that are being produced by farmers are produced at a very high cost because of high cost of renting farm implements that are being used, because of insecurity in the land, high logistics costs, and those culminate into the pricing of this. It is expected that a bag of rice in Nigeria that is produced in Nigeria should not be up to that amount. But because of the high cost of production and insecurity in the land, it jacks up the cost. Because if we are to stave off foreign competition as regards importation of foreign rice, then our own should be cheaper. So that is why government should look at ways and means to ensure, part of it price control, to ensure that the cost of local rice is affordable for the people and is of high quality.
Thank you very much.